All right, good morning. Going back and having a chance to rewind the tape and look at everything offensively, defensively, in the kicking game. Obviously, it's incredibly disappointing, frustrating to have played the way we did in that game. First half filled with a lot of opportunity to keep it a really competitive game going into halftime. We talked about that just after the game, and I look at certainly that game, and I look at the body of work as a whole on the season and where we're at. Just finishing that game, being halfway through the regular season, not playing winning football on offense, playing, giving ourselves a chance to win in special teams, and playing well on defense. Really for the most part, to give us a chance to win every game. And so obviously looking, again, where we're falling short, on offense, what exactly was the root of the different issues, and there's certainly a lot of different areas. I look back at this particular game, and obviously you go right to things that matter the most, things that impact the game. And we talked about it going into the game. Nothing impacts a game like turnovers, and certainly that was a factor in the first half. And then, running the football, being able to run it. I thought they're overall, they were more explosive than we were running the football. But when you look at all the efficiency pieces of it, when we ran the football, we were actually a very efficient football team, and but we weren't explosive, and that's a big difference. I thought the explosive plays, the turnover, were really a difference in the game, and our inability to create them on offense and sustain drives, and their ability to create the explosive plays. They had a long drive to score first, I think maybe a 12-play drive, and then a 4-play drive created by explosives, and then a 1-play drive for a touchdown to make it 21-3. So again, looking back at, there's always good and bad in all of it. You got to find things that you can promote, whether that's effort or execution or physicality or creating plays on either side of the ball, doing the things that are necessary in order to win. And certainly there's plenty of mistakes, and when you fail, that's the best opportunity to teach and you learn. And this was a lot to learn from, to say the least. And but I think 8 of our 13 drives on offense, we did create some momentum early in the drives, and just not enough. And so you go back and you look at what was, and I think right now for several guys on offense, things are happening really fast. And again, in our 2 losses, we lost to the number 1 team in the country and maybe number 6 team in the country. So everything's going to happen even faster for them as new players. But the different issues, and I look at, okay, are we in a bad call based on what we're seeing on the other side of the ball? Do we give ourselves a chance to be successful by play design and what we're asking guys to do, whether that's protection or that's blocking or where we're trying to run the football or throw the football? I look at what are the opportunities that are actually there within the play, and what are we asking of guys? Is it too much or not? And so, the opportunities, when you look at throwing the football, we had plenty of opportunities in the first drive of the game. After getting the first down, we're open, we're behind the defender, and we just overthrow it. We don't catch it in the end zone. We attack vertically. There's always pros and cons with that too. You want to try to stay on time and stay on schedule and stay ahead of the chains. And so when you take shots down the field, you like your matchup, you like your coverage, you like where you're at on the field, and but you got to live and die with that too. Connect, and then you're at 2nd and 10, but we had our opportunity there in the first drive and to do that, and we just misthrow it there in the end zone. And our second drive of the game again started off with another really efficient run, and and then we get to we take a sack on second down. They got a blitz, and we can't do that. So we've got to throw the ball away there and stay in again a manageable third down situation. And then our third drive, we get things going there, and we get 3 first downs, and but we miss some opportunities within the drive. There's plenty of opportunities, but we got a slant route open on 3rd and 6. We got to hit him, and again, well-designed play, and it's going to be tight coverage, and but we got to make those plays, and we had to settle for a field goal. And I could go down every drive the same way, and there's times when they make a good play on defense. They're in a good structure. There's times our pass pro isn't what it needs to be, and we give up some leakage, or we have some issues with route detail way too often. And the quarterback early in some of these drives, he's counting on the receiver to break back at 10 to 12 yards, and we're at 16. That's an issue. You're squeezing the ball, you're not in a rhythm, and you got missed throws and things of that nature. So that also is an issue, or again some of the footwork on some of the runs, or where exactly we're going to run the ball, and some of the footwork early, and some of the the action needs to be cleaned up. So at the end of the day, we got to score touchdowns. We got to find ways to get the ball in the end zone, and we're not doing that right now, and that's a problem. And so there's fundamental issues. There's decision-making issues. We got to get it all cleaned up. None of it's any good. None of it's nobody wants to hear it. You got 6,000 excuses, and none of them are any good. But the opportunities aren't endless. And when we have the opportunities, again, that's what I look at. Are there opportunities there? And so we spent a good time of our meeting yesterday with the players and showing them, where again guys are wide open. The coverage is what we want. The opportunities are there. It's not always on the quarterback. Sometimes it's on the receiver or the tight end. Maybe it's some of the protection, but again, overall protection was solid on the day. And again, our pass pro, not talking about early down, quick game and play action things, but the overall pass pro has got to still be better. Certainly there was a few drives with penalties, and those are always a killer, whether they're false starts or holding penalties. We had a drive late that we had a couple of penalties, but most of the time they're hard to overcome, especially right now. But everyone's got to have ownership, starting again with the coaching staff. If the opportunities aren't there and it's dysfunctional and we're not scoring, that's a problem. If the opportunities are there, and there's several of them that are there, then we got to execute better. And this is a game of timing and precision and execution, and we got to get more precise. Obviously, for several guys, this is the second game, with Mike and the crew that he's got, the second game together, full game, and no excuses. We got to be better. And if you don't play well in the SEC, you're going to lose. And we got to play well and play well together, play well efficiently. And so got a lot of work to do, a lot of things that we have to get cleaned up, things to learn from. Again, the things that are that we're capable, and the things that we can control, that we can get better. Some of the decision making, do I keep it or do I run it? And there's several of those that aren't the same play. Several times we didn't make the right decision, and so we've got to keep it simple that way, and it was, and we got to make it simple. Don't overcomplicate it and get out of our own way. And when we do, we'll be successful. So with that, I'll open it up.
Eric Bailey.
Brent, we are at the midpoint of the season, and Seth did talk a little bit after the end of the game about putting players in better position to make plays and trying to get into that rhythm. you just described a lot of the things about execution and things like this, but is it concerning as a head coach that we are entering Game 7 and that the players aren't executing at a level where maybe you expected hitting the back end of the season? Is that, and Seth, to his credit, is taking accountability and accepting all responsibility, but is it concerning as a head coach that it isn't where you probably thought it would be entering the second half of the season?
Well, certainly. And there's your perspective is, you got a brand new quarterback in there too. He just started his second game, and his first action was against the number 6 team in the country, and his second start, was against the number 1 team in the country. So they got to have perspective on all of it and not be quick to judge and have the eye for what it is. And again, as I go back, were the opportunities there? Are guys wide open? Yeah, several times wide open. Is the protection there when they're wide open? Yep, it sure was. Do we got to pull the trigger? Yeah, we do. And do we got to get better with our route detail? We do. And that's, there's a coaching piece to that. What you put on the field is a reflection of what you coached. And at the same time, we got to take what we practice, what we did right in practice, and we got to take it to game day. We can't lose our mind. And too often that happens as well. And all of it matters when you're talking about being efficient, creating explosive plays and things of that nature, getting everybody on the same page. And, it's incredibly concerning and disappointing and frustrating, all of it. And I do know, just again as a coach, there's a fine line between being successful and not being successful on any particular given play, and a lot of moving parts that go into that. But at the end of the day, you either are or you aren't, and we haven't been enough, and that's incredibly frustrating to say the least.
Mm-hmm. Ryan Abrams.
Yeah, Brent, I want to ask you something a little bit different. I don't know if you saw the end of the Ohio State-Oregon game with what Dan Lanning did on defense, throwing a 12th guy out there for a late play. As a defensive guy, what do you think about that? What do you think about the rule?
I think it's just a matter of time before they go back and change the rule. But it was good. I say it's good. From a defensive perspective, it's good.
Have you ever had anything like that where you had an idea about a rule that maybe a lot of people didn't know about that you found a way to exploit defensively?
Not that I can recall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Jenny?
Brent, a second ago you said you've got to take what you have in practice to the field.
Yeah.
When it comes to offense, what are you seeing? Are you seeing those explosive plays? Are you seeing those open receivers hit in practice and that's not translating, or are there struggles in practice that are then magnified?
Well, there's always struggles in practice, but again, as far as connecting on deep balls and explosives, and it looked good in practice, yeah. And then there's time again. We do a lot of good on good as well, and it's always a mixed bag. And again, the defense has had a lot of success, and the offense has had success as well. And then again, there's a scout team piece of it, and what kind of look are you getting with the scout team? And my challenge always is to make, I'm coaching a scout team, the defensive scout team that's giving the offense a look. I'm coaching them as hard as I'm coaching anybody to give a good look, to get the people that they're going against every day, to get those guys to strain so that on game day they're not surprised. And so there's always that competitive balance, of getting your scout work and also getting the opponent look, getting good on good work. And we've eliminated a period of scout work and have kept it good on good, added a good on good period several weeks ago, just to continue to strain and try to get guys better, faster. And but there's a balance of it, and when you go good on good, it's a very competitive environment, and so with that can come potential injuries and things of that nature. And then at the end of the day, you want to get your opponent looked down and things of that nature as well.
Barry?
Yeah, Brent, what's your general philosophy on mid-season staff changes?
Again, you go back and look at where I've been, I've not been a part of any staff changes in the middle of the season with Bill Snyder, Bob Stoops, or at Clemson with Dabo. And, there's always problems. Sometimes people know about them, sometimes they don't. There's always some level of struggle, and you got to work through your problems, find the best possible solutions. And if you have success, it's everybody. And sometimes when you don't have success, people want to point to one guy. And sometimes it's probably appropriate to blame one person, but most of the time it's not. It's a combination of a lot of things why you're struggling. And so again, you try to put it all together and have a perspective, not make any rash decisions based on the information that you have. And at the end of the day, there's nothing easy about any of it. And but I've been a part of those staffs too, where maybe at the end of the year decisions were made, at the end of the year, but nothing mid-season.
George.
Yeah, Brent, I'm wondering, at the halfway mark here of the season, is there anything from a scheme or play calling standpoint that you guys can do to maybe help the offense have better production, or is it as simple as you just need to execute what you got to do?
Well, again, I know that we just need to execute. That's not really satisfying for anybody, and I get that. I look at, again, we got to become more explosive, and we got to make plays that are there. And that's, I go back, is it there? As they have the best defense against what we're doing every snap, then we got to figure out, better ways to scheme. If we're in good calls against what the defense is presenting, and there are issues with, again, details of what we're doing based on what I know we're coaching them to do, again, where there's got to be some player accountability as well. So I asked the players yesterday, we're going through plays, I'm like, so did the coach tell you to do this way or not? And like, no, I was told to do it. I said, well, then that's your responsibility. Take that to game day. I said, I'll run over your coaches, throw them under the bus all you want me to, if you think that's appropriate, and that you got to be open and honest, and a coach has got to own it when they screw up, and there's plenty of that, and then the players got to have responsibility too. Are you spending the extra time to have your details down when you get in the moment and the game's going fast to be able to, execute at a high level? And again, if that's blocking somebody the right way, if that's running, a route with the right detail, if that's the quarterback going through, looking from a progression standpoint, putting his eyes where they need to, trusting what he's seeing, trusting the protection, not getting in a hurry. And as I said earlier, I think right now there's a handful of guys that are playing really fast, which is not a good thing, too fast, and got to have some trust and some patience with some of that. But that's the first thing I look at. I look at it from a lens of, what are we asking them to do? What are they seeing? Are we in a good call, a good structured call versus what we're seeing? And I look for overall efficiency. And I think as far as the efficiency in the plays, I think you look at the analytics, or I think they had successful plays overall in the game. Again, Texas had 24 successful efficiency plays. We had 25. And so I look at that, and I look at the explosive plays. We weren't able to match them with the explosive plays. They had 6, we didn't. They won the turnover battle. They won the rushing total, and part of that was in some of the explosive runs. And then the field position the second half was crap. So we couldn't flip it. And then on third and long and extra long, they were able to convert a few, and we weren't. Our third medium was not good. Theirs was better than ours, and that's the game. And and so I look at all of it, and again, we had our best game when it comes to consider what we're going against. Efficiency-wise, in our runs, we had again several drives that were started with really successful plays, and we didn't sustain it, obviously, and so that's always a concern. You got to not only move the ball, you need to score and create explosive plays, and we're not doing either of those like we need to right now.
Ryan Chapman.
Brent, Mike's been really good at taking care of the football in the passing game, but as you mentioned, some of those opportunities with some of those tighter windows, how do you balance with a really young quarterback being more aggressive in those spots without being reckless and still not taking care of the football?
Well, again, and Mike, for example, in the second half, he had a couple of really nice throws over the middle, tight coverage, bang bang kind of plays. He did that in the first half early, and there's some times when you don't trust it, and that's just part of the maturation. You don't want that. Which you go back and you freeze the picture and you show them what's there, and you develop that through practice and the confidence that comes with it, and everybody's got to be on the same page. And again, you go back and, like I said, you show them the ones that, hey, that were good, and then you say, hey, these are the ones that are there, and you match them up with maybe what we did in practice. 660 guys, and several of them are just the backups, and but they've got great experience. That's the best defense that I've seen them have since I've followed them closely. So for well over a decade, they're really good. They're fast, they're long, they're explosive, they're disruptive, and they're deep. And so they're playing at a really high level defensively. Again, they outgained Alabama in Tuscaloosa, lost in overtime 27-25, outgained them by 61 yards. A team that just a couple of weeks ago was the #1 team in the nation, right? Weren't they? And they had 4 sacks, 9 tackles for loss against a bunch of highly regarded offensive linemen, backs and tight ends. So I know people were quick to blame, and justifiably so. Oh, we can't block nobody, we can't run it, and we're doing this and all those things. Well, Alabama just did it too, and they got really good players. But they're also getting production from their young players, and so they're doing a really good job. Now they've rushed for more yards. A year ago they were not very good on offense, very uneven, they weren't cohesive at all a year ago, and they've improved as the year has gone on. That's what I've watched, and I always take an opportunity to watch the people that we're going to play at different times. Just take a quick sneak peek. There's a lot of quick ways to be able to do that, but they've already rushed for more yards this year than they did total for last year. So they're getting, they got Rocket Sanders is a really good player that they got in the portal that's gotten better from Arkansas. That's gotten better as the season's gone on. They've got good depth there at running back, and then the quarterback, he can take it to the house at any point in time. He's a legit 4'4" guy. He's 6'3", he's 230 pounds. He's strong, he can run through trash. They have quarterback design plays, and then he can improvise when things break down. He makes a lot of plays on the perimeter with his eyes down the field, has created explosive plays by doing so. They've recruited well, at tight end, at receiver. They've got some guys that can really go there. They have started all 5 of the same offensive linemen in all 6 games this year with 179 career starts. Several of them had to get baptized a year ago, freshmen that are now playing in their 2nd or 3rd year. And then they've recruited well in the portal as well. And again, they have 8 starters coming back on defense. They actually, again, as a team, they didn't play great against Ole Miss, but they held Ole Miss in check offensively, and again, their defense did the same. Again, 27 points each, which is really good considering those 2 offenses and how explosive they are. They have forced 12 turnovers on defense, which ranks 2nd in the conference and 12th nationally. But they've also given up a bunch of turnovers and are tied. I believe their 8 fumbles are tied for the most in the country. They've played overall the efficiency about middle of the pack in special teams, but since 21 they've blocked 16 kicks, which leads the country. And their punter Kai Kroger is averaging a SEC high 48 yards a punt. He's also thrown it over the last several years. Has completed 7 out of 8 fakes, and so it's really, really talented. And then they're 8 out of 12 in their kicking game with a long of 46. And but I really like Sellers. He's a tough guy. The players really follow him. He's playing at a better level this week than he was, at the beginning of the year. And just again, as I said, watched him get better and better as the season has gone along. So there ain't no gimmies in this conference, and certainly on the schedule. We're going to have to play well. We're going to have to play better in all the areas that we've already talked about. This is a team that, they're very similar to us in a lot of spaces if you looked at it on paper. And this is a really talented group as they'll be coming in here this weekend.